All right, so welcome back to the channel. My name's Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
And this is Conversations with the Crawleys. We do conversations about faith, family, relationships, and we do recaps and commentary on some of our favorite shows. This is all about that kind of wild episode of Family or Fiancé.
They're all wild.
Yeah, this season seems to have some wild ones. Just, I don't know where they source these from, but this one, all right, let's...
It's from a year ago from what we understand from the last one.
This might have been 9 years ago. This might have been 10, 15 years ago for what we understand. So if this is content that you enjoy, do me the favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe, request notifications.
And share. And
then we'll see you in the comments. All right, let's jump in. Let's have the conversation. This one is all about Tiara and Aikeem.
Mm-hmm.
So... they met officially in high school, although he kind of stole a kiss in grade school.
Yes, and ran away. Too cute. And they found each other again.
He was like, mwah. So they've been together off and on again for 10 years.
Yeah.
So as far as kind of his background, his mom was heavily on drugs.
Right.
And so that causes a lot of anger problems for him.
Correct.
He's 25, she's 26. And they say that their biggest complication in their relationship is communication. As we will see, they are not lying.
Well, I know Dr.
Tracy,
I know start with T. Dr. Tracy, she's like, no, it's not communication. You're in a different cycle, but we'll get further into that.
Yes.
But as they identify it as communication.
Yes. I mean, that's part of it. There's a lot more to it.
Oh, yeah.
There's
some depth.
There's some trauma.
Yeah.
All around. In fact, he talks about how he had to come home and take care of himself. His mom had him at 17, so she was a teenager, mother.
Yes.
And then the other things as far as her being on drugs, he found that he was basically raising himself.
Correct.
He would come home from school. He'd have to cook his meal. He'd have to do dishes, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and he felt abandoned because, like, at night, she wasn't there.
Right. Right. So Tiara is like, the first time she met his mother, she was high.
Right.
The mother was high.
That would make sense.
And so she says she doesn't know what it's like for the mother, basically her mother-in-law, to be sober. All right. Tiara, though, so that she says she had a decent childhood. But she was shot as part of the Pulse nightclub mass shooting that happened a few years back in Florida, right? And I think it was her cousin, she said.
Yes, if I believe right. She got shot. Her cousin got shot, but her cousin didn't make it.
Right.
Yeah.
So trauma all around, right? Yeah. In a lot of respects. So as far as who's coming for this particular family or fiance intervention, because that's really what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is an intervention. When you put it that way, it's like...
it's an intervention.
Yeah.
His grandmother, his mother, and his aunt.
Yeah.
And his aunt is interesting. We'll jump in that in a moment. On her side, her mother, her best friend, and her godbrother. All right? So like you said, they meet with Tracy. And she's like, yeah, communication's part of it, but really your whole issue is you got this cycle, you got this other stuff going on that y'all need to deal with and rectify, right? So she gives the task. Now, she gives different names for the task, but it's the same thing. All right, your task is called
unpack baggage.
Unpack the baggage. Go and answer the questions that they ask you. And your task is baggage unpacking.
Baggage unpacking.
Your role is to answer the questions that they ask you to the best of your ability. So that's really what it is.
I hear you.
And every week she gives it a different name, and it's like it's the same thing. Answer the questions the other family members
right,
ask
because obviously until you have answered questions, these are the things that you have either assumptions of or preconceptions or you don't know.
Right.
You know, so you're trying to figure out if you should give your blessing. And until they actually ask you these questions and you can really I think what we don't realize is like in families, we don't sit down enough to talk.
True.
To say, okay, this is what I'm seeing. Is this truly what's going on with you?
Right.
And then being able to get beyond what we assume and going off of our assumptions.
Yeah. So his mother says, because they're in the escalator, whatever, riding to it. His mother says that Hakeem, I want to call him Aikeem, normally runs things through her, but now he runs things through Tiara. That's kind of what happens when a person gets grown and they have a relationship that they're becoming one with. I love my mom, but I don't consult her for the same decisions I did when I was 18.
Right. But we find out there's a lot of family dynamics where a mother can't let go of their son.
Yes.
You know, especially just think about it. If she lost the opportunity to mother him as a child and she's now recovered, she's trying to reclaim areas of her life as a mother she didn't have before.
Sorry, too late.
Yeah, it turns out to be too late.
Yeah. So her best friend says, she just says, so one of the words that we have between us that whenever something is just like, we'll say that's interesting, right? That's our word. Whenever something, the best friend is like, they have a unique relationship. Now her mom says that she treated Aikeem like a son due to the fact that he had a difficult upbringing. So because he's been kind of involved with Tiara, they've been connected for a number of years. It sounds like her mother saw the issues and was like, he needs to be mothered. I'm not trying to take his mother's place, but I'm basically trying to treat him like a mother should treat a son.
Oh yeah, like I can see from, you know, and I'm not saying it wasn't or was. I can see him, she's feeding him, like, come over, eat dinner, you know, if you don't have any food in the house,
Right.
or, you know, and
Those
different
type of
things like
things.
that. Like, how's it going with your homework? Stuff like that she would do with her own daughter, that she was probably doing the same thing with him.
Yes. So they meet with the families, and as far as like just kind of laying out what they're looking for and getting the family's concerns. So family mentions things like communication. Someone on his side says that Tiara comes off strong. And his mother said, when I want to spend time with you, that don't mean for you to bring your fiance over. I want just you by myself. Problem.
It could be, right? I think there should be a time where a son and daughter should have time. I
So
mean,
the mother, yeah,
yeah.
I got you.
You know, I don't see anything wrong with that if there's been a lot of opportunities for the three of them to get together.
Right.
So if your mother calls you specifically, say, hey, I want you to come over, spend some time with me. I haven't talked to you in a while. I'm not going to be upset about that.
True.
Because you all have a relationship, obviously, is unique because you're, you know, that's mom and you're a son.
True.
So.
But the way that it was positioned, the way it was poised, is like, I don't want nothing to do with your girl. It's kind of the way it came off, right? And so on her side, the concerns was that Aikeem comes off as angry, and they also want to see him mend the relationship with his mother.
Which is good, right? Because they weren't just focused on, you know, her and that's my daughter and you're going to treat her right, whatever.
Yeah. So as far as meeting with his family, Tiara meeting with his family, there's the history between the mom and Tiara. And the mother's like, I need to be put in a place of prestige.
I don't think she said prestige,
She
right?
did.
She said respect.
She said prestige.
Oh.
Or maybe that was the aunt that said it.
Yeah.
Somebody on that side said prestige.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. And here, we can talk about the aunt right now. Because the aunt, we think, I'll just speak for myself.
Yeah,
you can
speak for
co-sign
you.
if you want to. I think the aunt may be doing some root work, some hoodoo, voodoo, or something, because aunt was looking a little.
They may be of some type of religion, or maybe this their culture and they're not
possible.
American.
It's possible.
You know, so
Natively, right.
Right. Or African American, let me put it that way, right?
Right.
Because we do have a lot of African they'll come over and live here in the United States. Because of their dress, is a specific dress.
It wasn't just a dress for me.
Okay. There's a
It was the
specific
spirits that was popping off.
So, you know, I'm going to leave it at that.
Leave it at that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Y'all draw your own conclusion.
Right.
All right. Now, Tiara did say something. I was like, that's funny. She said she loves his mother, but wants to punch her in the throat.
Mm-hmm.
That's a statement and a half.
We've heard it before, right? You know, we would tell, you know, you
I
say
said
that.
jokingly with my son. I'd be like, look.
And she was being joking.
I don't think she was joking. I think she was like, if the moment hits, you getting punched in the throat. I don't think there was a joke with that.
I think she was joking, you know, because when they sat down to talk, where I thought it was going to be more hostility between them, it actually wasn't. So you have to take that into account. Because I thought it was going to be a lot more hostility when they met and asking questions.
I got you.
But she was really hearing her out. So.
Yes. So they did have, as far as his task, whatever, he had the conversation with, basically they were saying that they have to have the conversation. The mother and the daughter have to have the conversation, right? And he also said that his mother has to understand that they're a package deal, right? I'm appreciative to my mom. My mom has been phenomenal with you and I. And she treats you like her daughter. She calls you her daughter, right?
Yeah.
And so my mom has been fully understanding for the 29 years that we've been together, almost 29.
It'd be almost 29.
That, we're a package deal. So, and she encourages that. Let me also say that. I don't think my mom has ever been like, I don't want that girl around.
I don't think so. At least she didn't tell me in my face.
Yeah, she didn't tell me either. So she might have said there's somebody else in the family, but no, it never came to us, right?
Right.
As far as on her side, first of all, they talked for like 3 days. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning when they started talking. And
it
then
was
all of a sudden,
light
it was
outside
midnight.
when they started. And it was dark. So I don't know if they started at 5. And then they went to 7, but that's the longest I've ever seen anyone on Fiancé where on both sides, on that side,
it went
dark.
Yep.
Outside. My God, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't hostile for it to go that long, and it seemed like she was talking and allowing, and then she was talking. It's like let her talk, and I felt like the grandmother and the aunt, they were reasonable.
The grandmother more so than the aunt. The grandmother was The grandmother was very reasonable. The aunt was co-signing a lot of what the mom was saying. If you're at least that's what I recall. The aunt, not co-signing everything, but the grandmother was at least trying to be the voice of reason, saying, "Listen, you can't do this now. You can't, right? Right." The aunt was kind of like back and forth, more so, in my opinion, on the mother's side. Whereas the grandmother was the voice of reason. Grandmother was like, no, because here's the thing. I think especially in our older generations, I think that sometimes our grandparents know the issues of their kids, and they're like, you wrong with that. Because I imagine my mom, if I ever start acting foolish and acting out crazy, my mom would probably tell my daughter and my son, you know your dad, right? So yeah.
Well, my opinion, I felt like at times both of them had some reasoning when it came to her. They didn't just attack her. You know, they gave some validity of what she was saying, and they were hearing her out. Yeah. And then they were making sure that the mother get heard too. Gotcha. So that's kind of what I was focused on.
Okay.
So
cool. Then they go to dinner. And they have spaghetti for dinner. Do you do sugar on spaghetti? Well, I know you don't, because whenever we make spaghetti, I've never seen you break out with sugar.
No. I have never seen any. This is my first time, and even on national TV, seeing someone put so many packets of sugar on spaghetti. Someone said you might as well have put the sugar in the sauce. The way y'all, and it's weird. It's like all of them did it. It was like in a row. All of them put, but see, I've seen someone put sugar in potato salad. Or it was mashed potatoes or something. We were over someone's house and they were putting
Like
sugar.
we were, or like when you were growing up?
No, we were visiting someone.
Who
Yes.
that? Tell me off camera because I don't remember who that was.
Yeah, when we were small group leaders and stuff. I'll tell you who it was.
Okay, so just we ain't got to go back over that house no more, right?
No, we didn't. They poured it on their stuff.
Oh, on their own.
They poured it on their own. It wasn't in the.
I was just making sure.
They made it for everybody.
But then they doctored their own.
They doctored their own up and poured the sugar on it. So this is not the only time I've seen this happen.
How does in the comments, y'all let us know if you do that. No shade, but if you do that, what does it do for the? I mean, it just makes sweet pasta meat sauce. I don't know if
I want my spaghetti sweet.
No, you know, my household or my family, we had spicy spaghetti. No,
right? I can understand spicy spaghetti.
Works.
I hear that.
But sweet spaghetti.
And sauces can be sweet.
Yes,
naturally sweet.
Naturally sweet.
I don't recall having a recipe where it calls for a cup of sugar because they were pouring that sugar on. Well, I don't know. Would like sugar be better than salt?
Like you got to make a decision. Are we gonna make Kool-Aid or are we gonna make spaghetti? Because we only got a cup of sugar and we can't make both.
You better put it. You better put it in the Kool-Aid.
All right. So at the table, though, they start the conversation, and he basically is like, you weren't there for me. And the mother's like, you a liar. And he's like, what? Whoa. He's like, you weren't there. I was there. Grandma's like, no, you really wasn't. No, baby, you really wasn't. So he's starting to get elevated, right? Now, this is the part where I think that Tiara makes a mistake. Rather than, if the goal of this is to try and get all of the things out, one of the things that I think has been happening with Aikeem is that he bottles things up because he's not allowed to fully express how he feels. And so it comes off as this explosion of anger because he's had to hold it in for so long. And so therefore, I think that this might have been the environment for them to say, let's have it all out. Let's say everything that's got to be said. And if at the end of this, we can't be in connection with each other, then we can't. But I've got to at some point, you got to get it all out.
Oh, yeah. And no one wants to feel like that you trying to make them out to be crazy.
No.
I'm like, don't make me out. Like, I can remember the feelings of being home at a 10-year-old, not knowing where my adult parent's supposed to be.
Right.
And are they coming back? And he said weeks at a time that she would be missing sometimes, which, although those are true sentiments. If you've ever had anyone in the family that had drugs, I've had people in my family that had drugs, a drug addiction. So what he's saying is he's not lying. And so they end up having to take care of yourself. So when I'm trying to present to you where I need you to apologize, you can't even identify that you were missing.
Or even acknowledge the trauma that I maybe have gone through.
Right.
Even if you don't apologize, it's acknowledged. This is why I feel the way I feel.
And that's what the, I think it was his grandmother. His grandmother would say, can't you just let him acknowledge his feelings?
Yeah.
How it made him feel? Because obviously now that she's in recovery or seeking recovery, it's hard when you have to listen to someone tell you what you've done to someone because of your decisions.
Yep.
And so it's hard to sit in that. And so it looks like at that point she wasn't ready to sit in that she has caused her son pain. The person who she says that she loved the most and glad that he was in her life.
Yep.
At the same time, she caused a lot of pain.
Yep. So they basically, Tiara pulls him away and tries to calm him down, whatever. He's still kind of elevated.
Oh, he's
elevated is an understatement.
Right. He lost his top.
Right.
Yeah.
So they do finally make it where they go to bed. The next morning, he couldn't sleep.
Early in the morning. Yeah.
He couldn't sleep, so he gets up and he's still angry.
Yeah.
She wakes up Tiara wakes up in the bed with him, of course, and is like, he's not there.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to try and check on him.
Mm-hmm.
And off camera, we kind of hear a lot of, a lot of commotion, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And he's elevated. She's starting to get elevated as well.
Yeah, because she wants him to talk to her about how he's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
He's unable to communicate how he's feeling. He's expressing it,
Right.
but he's not able to verbally communicate
Right.
what's going on. And so then she gets frustrated with his inability to verbally communicate,
Right.
which causes her to get overly angry. I think it was very dramatic, so now she's yelling.
She's running around the house yelling, "It's not just me. It's not just me." And so they need coping skills as far as, one, how to communicate how they're feeling in a way that does not seem over the top or accusatory. She has to learn to be able to allow him to express however he expresses and not take it personal.
And if he needs his space to express that, because he states, I was talking to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't trying to bother anyone.
I didn't ask you for your assistance.
I was stumping around, whatever. Let him stump. If he needs to stump around and go outside and huff and puff, allow him to do that. And then say, hey, when you're ready, come in and let's talk about what happened last night. Because I know it's last night.
Right.
And if you know this is a cycle, why are we waiting till he's up in just like you're trying to, you interrupted him from being able to get it all out.
Right.
And them having the blow up in front of everyone where you're not trying to do it and participating in yourself and trying to help it.
So it's in many respects, it's almost like trying to sweep it under the rug. But the more you sweep it under the rug, you just get a bigger pile of dirt underneath that rug. And then you wondering why the floor is lumpy.
Right. Well, and Dr. Tracy said it the best. You guys are in this cycle, of retreating and pursuer, and then you're trying to be bigger and you get larger. And then she says, does this go into abuse? Does this go into, and he's like, yeah, she's hit me. Yeah, she slapped me.
And she's like, no, I don't do that. He's like, no, let's be honest.
And then she admits to it. And so she's like, okay, has to stop. And she acknowledges that they blow up, they get over it, and then they think they can just keep moving on. She's like, oh no, this cycle continues to go. You get to the point, then you're saying, y'all making an excuse that, oh, it's me, it's this. She's like, no.
Y'all can't keep going.
You can't keep going. You're in a cycle.
Yes.
And what's going to break the cycle if you have to make some changes and get some help.
Yes.
And I think the problem is that we don't realize when we need help. We can't solve it on our own.
Right.
And I think it's unfortunate when we keep festering things and allow it to fester, or we allow like, oh, I'll pray about it, or I need to think through it, and then those emotions calm down, but you don't get rid of them. And so I made a decision a long time ago, even when we were trying to work through things about finding help for our son, is that why am I going to wait until a point where, oh, I feel like I'm over it? You never get over it. You just cover it up, or you keep existing, but you don't have the fullness and the freedom that you deserve.
Yeah.
So counseling, if I feel like I'm at a place where I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on, I can't figure this out, I need someone outside of me to look on the outside of this and then help me to discover where I can do better.
Right.
A counselor does not solve your problems.
They're a coach.
They're there to coach you,
Yep.
to ask you questions you haven't asked. And so to help you answer things that you have the answer for,
Yep.
but they're hidden. And those answers may take you to places where you don't want to go.
True. So then they do, Dr. Tracy does set up a meeting with the mother and the son, right? And we start to at least see some elements of healing begin to take place.
Yeah, which I thought there was still going to be a little bit more resistance from the mother.
Right.
So hopefully she had some time. It seemed like she had some time to kind of really do some soul searching and say, like, hey, I'm realizing this, how it affected you,
Right.
and she's acknowledging to him, like, you are my gift. You are the one that kind of helps me going. And he had to tell her, like, I'm afraid that you'll die. I'm afraid that these drugs will kill you. And again, he can't do anything. It's out of his control.
Right.
So he's talking about being out of control, can't control that his mom could overdose. He can't control his own emotions about it.
Right.
And so I think it was a really good opportunity for growth for both of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they do basically meet with Tracy a final time.
Tiara meets with her.
That's right.
Her mom and her best friend, and she's talking about hers wasn't as clear because I believe she's supposed to have been sharing about her. It's a close to death experience to me.
Right.
You were in a nightclub where you got shot and you could have lost your life.
And your cousin
died
in your lap, basically.
Died in your lap. And so she said, I heard her breathe, and then her last breath, she's like, I thought she was still alive.
Yeah.
And they told me no. That was her last breath. So I think she wasn't sharing enough about how she wanted to be a rescuer in a sense of her friend.
Yeah.
Where she was at one point a victim. And and so
is that maybe why she, in some respects, is trying to rescue Aikeem?
Yeah. That's just from what I can see, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what they cut. We don't know their whole situation. But that's what it seems like from the moment at the table when he was losing and inspiring. She wanted to come in and rescue him and get him out of the situation. And then when she can't rescue him, she turns to anger and fear. So the fear of losing the fear of not being able to help someone else. Because she may feel like he has the same fears, this uncontrol and everything that attains to being in the situation,
Yeah.
So I think she was trying to get that through to her mother, because still couldn't express it. So when they went back to talk to Dr. Tracy and they were saying, oh, we're good, she's like, no, you're not.
Yeah. She's like, no, y'all need to postpone this whole thing.
She didn't really tell him to postpone.
She didn't, but she's basically like, y'all need to slow up. Y'all need to get this fixed for sure.
She was telling them, you're in the same cycle. Are you going to get out of the cycle? What are you going to do? Are you going to leave here continuing to do the same thing? Are you going to do something else? And Tiara made the decision. She was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. We
need to do something else. We need to, this word pause done come up in 2 episodes. What does pause mean? So
yeah, because
because when you read at the end, because they go in and they say, hey, we're not looking for your blessings for marriage.
Right.
We need to take 90 days, get into counseling. And once we go through counseling,
we'll see where we are then.
We'll see where we are then. But then we see that they just postponed the wedding, which in the same thing, I feel like it's a pause, because it's not, if they had a wedding date and they moved it out a year from the way they placed it from the producers wrote the ending of their story.
Right. Which we're finding may not be as
accurate
or up to date.
Right. Up to date. Right.
Because technically what we find out from these shows is that they could have been married 4 years ago.
Right.
So
it could have been. But based off of, listen, we're doing a recap
of this show.
Of the show as it's being played. The producers don't come and give us a script about what happens after their life.
No.
But I think it's just for evidence that all families have some discord and dysfunction. There's no perfect family.
Not at all.
And I appreciate them deciding to do that. The thing is about saying that it's not forever, but willing to say, once I'm healthy and whole, then I'm able to make a good decision.
Yeah.
When we make decisions about being with people, we do it in dysfunction.
That's crazy.
we meet and marry people while we're in the midst of dysfunction. So imagine if we were whole people, would we actually be married to the people we're married to? Don't know.
I was perfect when we got married.
Of course you were. Of course you were. Of course you were.
I just didn't know I was in dysfunction.
Of course you were. But that's something to think about, right?
It is, absolutely.
Right? Because now you're married and then you're seeking to get whole, and you find healing. And then guess what? Oh, you're different. Oh, you've changed. And then you have to learn that new person.
Yeah.
But some people don't. They don't learn the new person. So once they get whole, what happens? Majority of people end up getting a divorce.
Because some people are comfortable in their dysfunction, and they're comfortable with the dysfunction they know. And it's a crazy thing, but sometimes we don't. Normalcy feels foreign, foreign, and so much out of whack that we crave dysfunction.
We do.
Right? We treat dysfunctionality as normal.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, they paused their wedding for a year.
Is what it says.
He is having better relationship with his mother,
which is awesome.
Yep. And
awesome.
I think that was pretty much it as far as
pretty much it.
Update.
And that they're going to counseling.
Yes.
Which I recommend it for everybody.
Absolutely. So, all right, that's it for this one. Let us know if we missed anything. Let us know your thoughts. But again, we'll see y'all in the comments. Let us know your thoughts. We'll see you next time. Have a great one. Be blessed.
Bye.
Peace.